on the halls of Montezuma.
Be it resolved that 2 battalions of Marines be raised.
These were the men called Marines that secured our nation. In this, I think, is glory, glory, glory.
Marines have always been there to take the forefront, be the tip of the spear.
To wear the title of Marine is probably going to be the proudest thing that I'll ever do in my life.
My buddy next to me, I'm going to be there for him, and he's going to be there for me.
Honor, courage, and commitment. That's what we believe. That's why we're Marines.
The thing that we do extremely well is take care of each other. Semper Fidelis is us continuing on. The bottom line is, the brand new PFC joined the company, and they would treat him as a brother just like everybody else. And that's the legacy that they inherit by becoming a Marine.
I do solemnly swear to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
The few, the proud, the Marines.
Our next speaker is an officer, a gentleman, a businessman. He is a retired Marine Corps officer. He has consulted with the New York City Police Department, was selected to serve as a military fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations, and he currently is serving on the boards of many nonprofits. Please give a great warm welcome to the president of Fortitude Consulting, Colonel John Boggs.
That was a great video, wasn't it? Well, good morning, L10. And again, my name is Colonel John Boggs, and I have had the wonderful opportunity to serve the nation for over 30 years as a United States Marine. More importantly, I have led thousands of young men and women, and I can't tell you what a phenomenal opportunity that was. Over that time period, there was a subject that became near and dear to my heart, and that was heroes. Where do they come from? I mean, after all, the Marine Corps seems to have a never-ending supply of them. And that's what I'm here to talk about today, is heroes. And here's something that I learned over the years, is that heroes don't just pop up. I had to stop and think through that, because they just seemingly keep coming. Where do they come from? What I've learned is this: heroes are created. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How do you do that? So before I do that, I have to ask you the question. What is the worst thing an employee can do for an employer? Now, as you sit and ponder that question, I'm going to tell you a story about two real-life American heroes. I'm going to take you back to 22 April 2008 in a city called Ramadi, Iraq. At that time, it was considered the most dangerous place on the face of the planet. 2 Marine infantry battalions were trading out. That is, one was ending its combat tour and the other was at the beginning. 2 young Marines, one from each battalion, were posted to stand duty in front of a makeshift barracks housing 150 Marines and Iraqi police. Those 2 young men, Corporal Jonathan Yale and Lance Corporal Jordan Harder. Jonathan Yale was a dirt-poor, mixed-race kid from Virginia. A wife, a daughter, a mom, a sister, all living with him on his $23,000 a year salary. Lance Corporal Harder was a middle-class white kid from Long Island. Now, these 2 young men would never have met if it wasn't for the Marine Corps. They joined the Marines, and then they've come to realize that there are multiple Americas that exist simultaneously, depending on one's economic status, education level, and where you may have been born. But these 2 young men were brothers. Actually, they were closer than brothers, forged in the crucible of Marine Corps training. Now, I can imagine that night the Sergeant of the Guard's mission orders went something like this. Okay, you 2 knuckleheads, you're going to stand this post and let no unauthorized vehicles or personnel pass. You got it? I could also imagine that the 2 young Marines looked at the sergeant and kind of rolled their eyes and said, well, yes, Sergeant, of course. With just enough attitude not to get in trouble, but also to let them know that this is not our first rodeo. Shortly after they're taking their position, a blue truck rolled onto the compound about 60, 70 yards away from the Marines. It negotiated a serpentine pattern of concrete jersey walls. Came to a stop in front of the Marines and exploded, killing them both. Now, Marines die in combat, and that's really not the point of this story. My friend, their commanding officer, which is where I get this story from, in an effort to recognize the 2 Marines for their bravery, traveled to Ramadi to find out what happened. Because, you see, in order to recognize someone for bravery, it requires 2 eyewitness accounts. And the only eyewitnesses we had were the Iraqi police. During his investigation, this is what he found. That, in fact, the 2 Marines were on post. A blue vehicle, a blue truck came in, negotiated the serpentine pattern, and exploded. But here is what the Iraqi police recounted. They pointed out that when they saw the truck, they knew something was wrong because the 2 Marines began to fire. They turned around and said that we too began to fire at the truck, and then to a man we had run. One policeman with tears in his eyes pointed out that they had run like any normal man would to save his life. What he didn't realize was that Marines were not normal men. He said no sane man would have done what they had done. A few days later, a videotape was found that actually captured the entire event from a security camera. That video is actually out on YouTube. Personally, I can't watch it. But here's what we learned from the videotape. It took exactly 6 seconds. 6 seconds. In the first 2 seconds, the Marines quickly realized what's going on. No time to talk. No time to decide what was going to happen. No time to call a sergeant of the guard for help. Instead, they presented their weapons and began firing. 3 seconds. You can see the Iraqi police also firing at the truck. 4 seconds. You can see the Iraqi police begin to run. Some ran right past the Marines. With 2 seconds left to live, the videotape shows this, that the Marines never shifted their weight away from impending doom, never made an effort to move out of the way. Rather, they leaned into their weapons and fired them as fast as they could. You could see the windshield exploding and the vehicle come to a halt, and then the video goes blank. Heroes. Ladies and gentlemen, every organization needs its heroes. No, no, no. I'm not saying you need people who are going to stand up and die for your company. Absolutely not. But every organization needs its heroes. Every organization needs those people who are going to stand up and do more than is required. Why? Organizations without heroes, ladies and gentlemen, will never realize their full potential. Never. They always seemingly make that whatever margin it is, whether it's 2, 3, 10, 15%, and never seems to waver. That's the company with no heroes. So how do we do that? Three major efforts to make a hero. One, it deals with the leader. Second, it deals with the employee themselves. And third, it deals with the playing field. And we're going to talk about that. First, the leader. There are many things a leader is responsible for, and I don't have enough time to go into them all, so I can only talk about the top three. Number one, and if you can't do anything that I tell you today, please do this. Behave like a leader. Because you see, no one hears what you say, not one word. They only see what you do. No one will remember anything about you other than how you made them feel. That's it. Second, leader, provide a vision, a clear, concise, compelling, shared vision. Now, a vision, ladies and gentlemen, is not a destination. It is your true north. It's your direction. It's not a destination. It cannot live on paper. It has to live in here. Third, guiding principles. In the Marine Corps, the guiding principles are honor, courage, and commitment. What are yours? Guiding principles guides how you behave while you're performing your task. Second is the employee themselves, particularly for this group. And the first thing is first, and that is training. You have got to train your employees to within 1 inch of their lives. Now, you can train it this way, or maybe that way. The next requirement for your employee is to instill knowledge. That's code for education. So you have to educate them, and if you can't educate them like that, maybe you do it this way. Third, techniques and tactics. When you bring the training and education together, now how do we actually perform the task? You can do it that way. I suspect you probably do it more like this. At the end, you have heroes, right? They look great, don't they? So do they. Well, not exactly. You don't have a hero just yet because you have to put that third thing in view, and that is put them on the playing field. Okay. All right. Some of you can say, yeah, that's exactly what the playing field looks like. But okay, you have to let people use their talents to perform the task. So what the playing field should look like, I know some of you folks are sitting close to the door for that quick getaway may have a rough time seeing this. Okay, true north. This is your vision right here. You have to have a vision. Your employee is right here. There's where they start off. We know where they're going because you've got a good vision statement. It lives inside them, so they know where they're going. You put them on the field. Hold it. 2 more sides. This side. This is the law. You never want to be on the wrong side of the law, particularly in your industry. You don't want to be on the wrong side of the law. This side right here, one more side to our field, the playing field. This is your guiding principles, also cleverly called values. If you have none, go to the Coke machine and get some quickly, or you'll be in trouble. This is what is required to be a hero. You got to put them on this field. Okay? We can talk about level playing field, but I don't have that kind of time. These are your goals and objectives, and of course, This is how they move, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, that's the playing field. That's the basis of a playing field. That's what you have to do. Now, what did you just do? You created heroes. You've given them an opportunity to perform. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Karl von Clausewitz pointed out in his book on war, he calls it the fog of war. The Marine Corps calls it the fog of battle. There's another fog, the fog of business. Things go wrong. Things go wrong every day. When someone shoots at you, I promise you things have just gone really wrong. War by its very nature is wrong. When someone's shooting at you, you couldn't get more wrong. So now what? Now you have that person who stands up. You have the Harders and Yales who come up, who suddenly appear because they're trained, they're capable. You have that person who can, just your nature of your business in healthcare, the way we are today, saving lives. You're in a hospital, you're wrong. Man, you're having a very bad day. What you do in pharmacy and biotech saves lives. That's extremely important. You're in a hospital, things just went wrong. That's me. But that's me because I have to remind myself to talk about you specifically and the importance of being a trainer. Two things, most important. First, trainers, ladies and gentlemen, are the guardians of their industry. All trainers. So I sincerely hope that you are seeing the future, seeing the invisible. And what I'm talking about that is when you start developing your training programs, today is great. Hopefully you're not training for yesterday, what you did yesterday. But are you casting your eye to the future? What are the trends? Who are you training? What do we have to train them towards? What is going to impact our training? What's going to impact our industry that's going to require me to change my training? The Marine Corps is always changing. It is always training. If it's not training, it's actually doing the nation's business. Your students are going to be doing the country's business also, keeping them healthy, saving lives. That's the importance of your training. Really, no different from the Marine Corps, other than maybe nobody shooting at you, but the same level of responsibility is yours. And I hope you take that very seriously. Secondly, there are heroes among you right now. And let me define hero for you so we're all on one sheet of music. You say, well, Colonel Boggs, wait a minute. Hero, hero, hero. A hero is a person who sees that one thing that needs to be done that no one wants to do. But the hero stands up and gets it done. Because the hero did it, because this person did that one thing that no one wanted to do, the entire organization benefits. Let me give you one last thought on, now that you understand about heroes, the very basics of developing a hero, I also gave you the basics of understanding your employees. You say, Colonel Boggs, wait a minute, we did everything that you just said, but it's still taillights and exhaust at 5 o'clock. Hold it. The person who's well-trained, well-educated, understands the guiding principles, but is going home at 5 o'clock, out the door, won't help anybody, won't even turn off the lights. That person does not have the vision, and they don't share the vision. The person who's there with you, they're there, it's 5 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock. But you wish they'd go home. I mean, that's the one, please leave, I got this. Okay, they have the vision, they have the guiding principles. Their training is lacking, their education is lacking. So they're not very helpful. Actually, they are a detriment. Well, I know you know them, we all have them. Then you have the person they have the vision. They are well trained, They are well educated. But you don't trust them. And I know you know people like that. You're probably running those names through right now. They do not have the guiding principles. They do not share your values or the values of the organization. That's the person you don't trust. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with this. There are heroes in this group, as I pointed out, and I had the wonderful opportunity of meeting a couple. I've been thanked for my service. I want to thank you for yours. I want to thank you for what you do because it is extremely important. I also want to thank a couple of moms in the group. I hope they're still here. Diana and Rachel. Diana is the mother of a Marine, and Rachel is the mother of a Army couple. And I tell you what, if you're a parent, a brother, a sister, someone in that support network for a person who wears the cloth of the nation, you are truly a hero because it is a very difficult job and no one can do it without you. So now I'm going to give my time back to my wonderful Kevin Cruz. Thank you.